article from the Times. Matt Lawton. Man City launch unprecedented legal action against the Premier League in what is to be a case that will be heard from the 10th of June. Claim has plunged top flight into civil war. I've read some of this article already, and they're basically claiming of prejudice against Gulf state ownerships, and that it's illegal, the fact that the Premier League are saying sponsors aren't allowed to pay whatever they perceive the value of the sponsorship to be. And the Premier League are restricting that, which is unlawful. So basically saying that if a sponsorship sponsors a club and values it 30 million, that's entirely up to them. They're well within the rights to do so. Okay? Manchester City have launched an unprecedented legal action against the Premier League in a move that sparked civil war in English football's top flight. The dispute, which has become a battle between the most powerful clubs in the country, will be settled after a 2-week private arbitration hearing starting on Monday. The outcome could dramatically alter the landscape of the professional game and have a significant impact on a separate hearing set for November into City's 115 alleged breaches of the Premier League's regulations and financial rules. Okay, so what they're basically saying, it's like a monopoly that clubs are trying to stop. Certain clubs, especially golf clubs, because it's negatively impacted Newcastle as well. This, who are owned by Saudi Arabia. Okay, have been able to, if a sponsorship, like I say, says we value it at 40 million, what are the Premier League say? No, it's only valued at 20. It's in, The hearing, expected to last 6 weeks, could lead to massive fines for the club owners and possibly even relegation for Pep. All-conquering side. That's in regards to the 115 charges that could happen, not in regard to the hearing that's next week. At next week's hearing, which has provoked bitter division between club, City will attempt to end the league's associated party transaction rules, which they claim are unlawful, and seek damages from the Premier League. Introduced in December 2021 in the wake of the Saudi-led takeover. See? So what they're saying is, it's against City, Abu Dhabi owned, and Saudi owned. So the City are basically claiming prejudice here. The rules are designed to maintain the competitiveness of the Premier League by preventing clubs from inflating commercial deals with the companies linked. But it's not, because anybody's got a right. If City can do it, then why can't everybody else do it? So it's not maintaining the competitiveness, it's maintaining monopolies. The rules dictate that such transactions have to be independently assessed to be of fair market value. And again, I think the argument is City are making here is, who are you to deem what is fair market value? But within the 165-page legal document, City argue that they are victims of discrimination, describing rules that say that have been approved by the rivals to stifle their success on the pitch as a tyranny of the majority. If City are successful in their claim, and some rival clubs fear they will be, it could enable the richest clubs to value their sponsorship. They could value all clubs, to value their sponsorship without independent assessment for the league, vastly boosting the amount of money they can raise and therefore giving them far greater sums to spend on players. The league's other 19 clubs have been invited to participate in the legal action, and the Times understands between 10 and 12 have stepped forward, providing either witness statements or a letter detailing evidence in support of the Premier League's defence against the claim. Those who have provided witness statements may be called by the tribunal to give evidence at the hearing, as well as the impact it could have on the Premier League as a competition. Clubs fear City's claim could also be key to the outcome of the hearing into their 115 alleged breaches between 2009 and 2023, with sponsorship deals funded by companies linked to Abu Dhabi Central through the accusations against them. It has been alleged that City concealed payments made by their owner, Sheikh Mansour, through third party and disguised them as sponsorship revenue, which in itself was inflated, which is very, very hard to prove. They're basically including the Gulf state, the owners of City, the Deputy Prime Minister of the United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed Al Nahyan, are fraud on a mass scale, so it needs a high level of proof to prove it. Even before the more recent moves by the Premier League to tighten regulations around APTS, there was a requirement under the league's rules that related party transactions must be at fair market value. If such rules are now deemed unlawful, it could significantly strengthen City's defence. At the hearing later this year, City had denied all wrongdoing relating to the 115 charges. Now the Times can confirm City carried out the threat, filing their claim on February 16th, with the Premier League informing its members clubs in March that a date of June the 10th has been set for the hearing. City are suing the Premier League for damages, whilst arguing that the league's democratic system of requiring at least 14 clubs or 2/3 of those who vote to implement rule changes gives the majority unacceptable levels of control. They accuse rival clubs of discrimination against Gulf's ownership. Wow. Citing the comments of one particular senior club executive. Wow, so they've got evidence from one club that proves the motives behind it is discrimination against Gulf clubs. Wow. City argue that sponsors linked to club owners, City or in Abu Dhabi, should be allowed to determine how much they want to pay. Yeah, regardless of an independent valuation. 4 of City's top 10 sponsors have tied to the United Arab Emirates, including stadium and shirt sponsorship Etihad Airways. Newcastle, which is a majority owned by Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund, have a shirt sponsorship deal with Salah, a Saudi sports rights company. Chelsea have a shirt deal with Infinite Athletic, a leisure company which counts the joint Chelsea owners Todd Bowley and Bahid, I can't pronounce his name, amongst its investors. Whilst the Times knows of at least one club that has submitted a witness statement in support of City for next week's arbitration hearing, sources believe that more than half sided with the Premier League. The Premier League invited clubs to submit the statements in a letter from their General Counsel, Kevin Plum, on March. Well, the majority have voted for the original rules. The majority are going to, side with them, aren't they? Despite just winning a record 4 successive Premier League, City claim rules introduced 2.5 years ago are restrictive and anti-competitive. Their rivals believe that what City are doing will actively destroy the competitiveness of the world's most popular league, allowing clubs with super rich owners to spend unlimited amounts of money on their playing squads and infrastructure and nullify financial fair play. No, you can only buy so many players. And City approved anyway. They're not willing to overspend for players. They said when they went for Van Dijk, we're not willing to pay 75 million for Virgil van Dijk and allowed Liverpool to buy him. Yeah, they did the same with Harry Maguire, 90 million. No, we're not willing to pay that. Millions are being spent on legal fees to fight this case. One senior club source says the Premier League's legal bill has more than quadrupled in the past year, with about 5 million to north of 20 million. They also point to the fact that since February, the Premier League's own legal department has been forced to shift its focus to this claim when it is trying to prepare for the hearing into City's 115 charges. This is clearly a tactic, the source said. Possibly, yeah. City have certainly spared no expense in their potential groundbreaking legal fight. They have appointed 3 KCs with Lord Panic, supported by Paul Harris and Rob Williams, a 4th senior barrister who specialises in competition and regulatory law. David McGrady is also on City's team. In their claim, City are seeking damages for the losses which it has incurred as a result of the unlawfulness of the FMV rules, in particular 4 costs resulting from delays, sums they claim were not paid under agreed deals, and additional costs including the club's inability to generate revenue from delayed or cancelled projects. This clubs believe could potentially amount to tens of millions. Indeed, City's claim says the club are seeking a split trial, with the first part focused on the APT rules, followed by a second on the then determined damages. In this letter to clubs On March 1st, Plum detailed the nature of City's legal challenge under Section X on the Premier League rules. Plum explained how the Premier League had to secure an order that enabled it to disclose the details of the arbitration to its members' clubs and confirm that it was indeed City who had filed a claim. The purpose of this letter is to provide those further details within the bounds of the confidential of the proceedings and to confirm the process by which the club may participate in the arbitration. Plum states. He explained the details of City's claim that the rules are contrary to the Competent Act 1998. Plum then said the Premier League's independent legal counsel believes the rules are compatible with English law and that they will fight the legal action. On February 26, a directions hearing in arbitration took place with the tribunal appointed to hear the case against the Premier League, permission to provide a redacted copy of City's statement to claim to other clubs because they may be affected by the outcome of the challenge. The tribunal set a date for the final hearing to take place on June 10th to June 21st, with all witnesses' statements due to be submitted by March 28th, in line with the deadline for the Premier League statement of defence. Clubs were given the option of either intervening formally in the proceedings upon receiving permission from the tribunal or submitting factual evidence on relevant matters. Within the City claim is a challenge to the voting system upon which the Premier League's decision-making process has been built on, which requires 2/3 of clubs to support a rule change. They say this allows a majority of clubs to exert a tyranny that damages the minority. City also claim that fair market value rules are intended to be discriminatory towards clubs with Tier 2 Gulf regions. The claims says that rules were imposed at the integration of certain rival clubs reacting to the Saudi takeover of Newcastle with the aim to safeguard their own commercial advantages. They say rivals were seeking to limit deals from companies in the Gulf region, citing a quote from a senior executive from another club. They claim the rules were deliberately intended to stifle commercial freedoms or particular clubs in particular circumstances and thus restrict economic competition, end quote. City also complain that when it comes to negotiating any form of sponsorship agreement, clubs in the north are at a disadvantage to those in London, saying that they can charge higher ticket prices. However, rival clubs estimate that based on median tickets prices, the Etihad Stadium and the 7 Premier League clubs in London City are ranked third. City blamed the Premier League for not regulating spending when clubs such as the Manchester United were more dominant, arguing that they were being prevented from monetising their brand in the way United did. City also say the rules penalise clubs who have lower profile sporting histories, end quote. In their claim, City also dismissed concerns that an inflated sponsorship deal with a company linked to the club's ownership could be vulnerable to a change of the ownership. There is no rational or logical connection between a club's financial non-sustainability and its receipt of revenues from entitled entities linked to ownerships, end quote. City's claim states they say companies could honour sponsorships even if the club was sold to new owners. As one Premier League source observed, this overlooks the fact that it is common for sponsorship contracts to have clauses that mean the terms change under new ownership. City argue that the Premier League have failed to provide evidence that sponsorship deals with related parties give clubs an unfair advantage or distort the league's competitive balance. They also say the Premier League as an organisation is a direct competitor for sponsorship and therefore claim they have a conflict of interest. Further to that, City question the independence of Nielsen Sports, a data analytics company used to determine the fair market value of sponsorship deals, because it has been retained by the Premier League for more than 2 years. City complain the FMV rules discriminate against clubs who form part of a multi-owned club ownership group and only apply to commercial deals and not shareholder loans. Ultimately, City stand accused of breaking financial rules to spend close to $2 billion building a team that now dominates the Premier League and the 2022-23 season won a European and domestic treble. In their claim, City argue the current rules will limit their ability to buy the best players and force them to change fans more charge £1 more for tickets. They say well, this is true, yeah? They say they have also had a cut spending on youth development, women's football and community programmes. Premier League clubs have a scheduled meeting in Harrogate on Thursday. Manchester City did not respond to contracted comments. The Premier League has declined to comment. So this will be interesting to see how this all plays out. Watch this space. Shit's going to hit the fan, guys. Cheers. Take care. Let me know what you think.